My name is Kiro Ven, third observer of Cadet performance, an unwilling witness to what I am now legally required to describe as an incident. Let me be clear. The machine was not supposed to break. It had survived plasma storms, zero-gravity combat drills, and one unfortunate incident involving Cadet Lumo and a stolen anti-grav chair. The reflex quantifier model, 9, was perfect, precise, untouchable, and then the human touched it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The testing hall was full that day. Rows of cadets stood in silence, or at least what passes for silence among 37 species with different breathing sounds. Some hissed, some clicked. One of them vibrated like a loose engine part. I stood at the central console, adjusting the display. Cadets, I announced, today you will undergo reflex assessment. Your performance will determine your placement for advanced combat training. Try not to embarrass your species. A few nervous chuckles. Good. Fear improves results. First up was Cadet Raul. Tall, blue skin, 4 arms. Very confident. Raul stepped into the testing circle, cracking all 4 knuckles. Begin, he said. The machine activated. Lights flashed. Targets appeared at random angles, left, right, above, behind. Raul moved quickly, striking each one with impressive speed. Result? Reaction time, 0.43 seconds. Applause. Respectable. Next came Cadet Miri. Small, fast, slightly smug. She performed even better. Reaction time, 0.31 seconds. Now the room was paying attention. One by one, cadets stepped forward, each faster than the last. Pride filled the air. Competition burned. Then, I call the next name. Cadet Ian. Silence. Not the respectful kind. The confused kind. Heads turned. At the back of the hall, leaning casually against the wall, was the human. Ian. He straightened slowly, as if waking from a nap, which, knowing humans, was entirely possible. He walked forward with an expression I could not quite decode. Not fear, not excitement. Boredom? That was new. I clear my throat. Cadet Ian. This is a reflex test. It requires speed. He nodded. Yeah, I figured. A few cadets exchanged glances. One of them whispered, he doesn't look fast. I agreed. Humans were average, at best. Physically unimpressive compared to most species here. No extra limbs. No enhanced vision. No natural armor. Frankly, I expected this to be quick. Enter the circle, I instructed. He stepped in. The machine scanned him. A brief pause. Then it spoke. Warning. Unknown biological variants detected. I frowned. That had never happened before. Proceed, I said anyway. The lights dimmed. Targets appeared. And then, it started. The first target shot out from behind him. Before I could blink, he hit it. Not turned. Not adjusted. He just moved. Second target. Above. Hit. Third. Left. Hit. Fourth. 2 targets at once. Hit. Hit. The room fell silent. No, not silent. Still. The kind of stillness that feels wrong. The machine increased speed. Targets came faster. Angles sharper. Patterns unpredictable. Ian didn't change expression. He wasn't straining. He wasn't even breathing hard. He just kept moving smoothly, efficiently like he had done this 1,000 times. I leaned closer to the console. Increased difficulty, I muttered. The system obeyed. Now it was aggressive. Targets launched in rapid bursts. Some fake, some real, some designed to trick the brain. Cadets before him had failed at this stage. Ian didn't. He hit everything. Perfect accuracy. Perfect timing. Impossible, someone whispered. The machine beeped. Reaction time, 0.09 seconds. The room exploded. No way. That's a glitch. Reset it. I stared at the numbers. 0.09. That wasn't just fast. That was ridiculous. I stepped forward. Test will be repeated. Ian shrugged. Sure. Second run. This time, I pushed the system harder. Maximum difficulty. No safety buffers. Targets appeared faster than most species could even perceive. And yet, he moved before they fully formed. Like he knew. Like he could see the future. Hit. 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 The sound echoed like gunfire. Then, The machine hesitated. A flicker. A glitch. I froze. System. I asked. No response. Ian lowered his hands. Is it supposed to do that? The display flickered wildly. Numbers climbing. Error messages stacking. Then, overload. A loud crack. Sparks burst from the console. The reflex quantifier model, 9, shut down. Completely. Silence. Absolute silence. Ian looked around, then back at me. He scratched the back of his head. So, was that fast enough? No one laughed. No one moved. Because at that moment, every cadet in that hall realized something. We had been measuring reflexes, but we had no idea what we were actually measuring. And as I stared at the dead machine, one thought echoed in my mind. This wasn't a malfunction. This was a warning. And I had a very bad feeling. The test had just begun. For exactly 6 seconds, no one spoke. Then the alarm started. Not the polite kind. Not the please evacuate in an orderly manner kind. No, these were sharp, aggressive, almost offended alarms. The kind that say, something has gone very wrong, and I would like everyone to panic immediately. I turned to the console. Smoke curled upward, which is never a good sign for something that is not supposed to produce smoke. System report. I snapped. The display flickered, struggled, then finally stabilized. Error. Data overflow. Response limit exceeded. I blinked. Response limit exceeded? That was not a phrase that should exist. Beside me, Cadet Miri whispered, Did he break it? Raoul shook his head slowly. No, he didn't break it. A pause. He outpaced it. That was worse. I turned back to Ian. He was still standing inside the circle. Calm. Relaxed. Slightly confused. As if he had just finished a casual warm-up and was now waiting for actual instructions. Cadet Ian, I said carefully, step out of the testing zone. He did. No hesitation. Did I do something wrong? He asked. There was no arrogance in his voice. No pride. Just genuine curiosity. That made it even more unsettling. Before I could answer, the main doors burst open. Commander Vex entered. Tall. Sharp-featured. Eyes that could probably file official complaints on their own. What happened? He demanded. I gestured toward the machine. Reflex quantifier failure. His gaze shifted slowly toward Ian. And him. I hesitated. Successful. That was the safest word I could find. Commander Vex stepped closer to Ian, circling him once, studying him like a puzzle that had refused to solve itself. You exceeded the system's processing capacity, Vex said. Ian blinked. Oh, sorry. He said sorry. Vex narrowed his eyes. Explain your performance. Ian shrugged. I just reacted. That is not an explanation. It kind of is. A few cadets tried, very hard, not to laugh. Vex did not appreciate that. Humans, Vex said slowly, are not known for exceptional reflexes. Ian nodded. Yeah, we're not the fastest. Raoul muttered under his breath. That was not fast. That was illegal. I almost agreed. Vex crossed his arms. Then how did you achieve a reaction time below measurable limits? Ian thought for a moment. Then he said something that made the entire room go quiet again. I wasn't reacting. A pause. I was predicting. Silence. Even the alarms seemed to hesitate. Explain, Vex demanded. Ian scratched his chin. Back home, we play a lot of games. Fast ones. You watch patterns, movements, timing. After a while, your brain kinda guesses what's coming next. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Guesses. I repeated. Yeah, he said casually. The targets weren't random. They followed sequences. Slight delays. Repeating angles. Once you notice it, you just move before they appear. Cadet Miri stepped forward. That's impossible. The system uses adaptive randomness. Ian shook his head. Not fully. There's always a pattern. Everything has one. I turned slowly toward the broken machine. Adaptive randomness with patterns? Had we overlooked that? Vex's voice cut through my thoughts. You're claiming that you anticipated every movement of a system designed to be unpredictable. I nodded. Pretty much. Raoul let out a low whistle. He didn't beat the test. Miri finished the sentence quietly. He solved it. That word echoed. Solved. We built the test to measure speed. He treated it like a problem. Vex stared at Ian for a long moment. Then he turned to me. Restart the system. I hesitated. Commander, it is no longer functional. Then use the backup. My eyes widened. The combat simulator? Yes. A ripple of unease spread through the cadets. The combat simulator was not a test. It was a battlefield. Commander, I said carefully, that system is designed for live combat scenarios. Lethal parameters are disabled. Vex interrupted. Usually, that did not comfort me. Ian raised a hand. Wait, what's happening? Vex looked at him. You will repeat your performance in a real scenario. Ian blinked. You mean like a fight? Yes. He paused. Then he smiled. Not a big smile. Not an excited one. Just a small, interested smile. Okay, he said. That response worried me more than anything else. Minutes later, we stood inside the combat simulation chamber. The air felt heavier here. More serious. The walls shifted, forming a virtual battlefield. Obstacles. Cover points. Moving terrain. I activated the system. Simulation will begin in 3, 2, 1. The world changed. Targets appeared. Not simple ones. Combat drones. Fast. Armed. Intelligent. They moved unpredictably. Fired stun pulses. Coordinated attacks. Cadets usually lasted 30 seconds. Ian stood in the center. Still relaxed. Still calm. The first drone fired. He moved. Not fast. Not frantic. Just exactly where he needed to be. The shot missed. Second drone. Flank attack. He turned before it moved. Disabled it. Third drone. Behind him. He ducked before it fired. The pulse passed over his head. My hands tightened on the console. This was not reflex. This was something else. The drones increased aggression. More units. Faster coordination. Complex patterns. Ian adapted. Every movement precise. Every decision correct. He wasn't reacting to the fight. He was ahead of it. Like he was watching it unfold seconds before it happened. Cadet Raoul whispered, "He's not fighting." Miri finished, "He's controlling it." The final drone activated. Elite class. No cadet had ever defeated one. It charged. Fast. Direct. Lethal. Ian stepped forward. One movement. Clean. Simple. The drone collapsed. Simulation ended. Silence. Again. Commander Vex exhaled slowly. "Result?" he asked. I looked at the display. Then looked again. "0 damage taken," I said. A pause. Completion time, record broken. Of course it was. Vex turned to Ian. For the first time, there was something new in his expression. Not authority. Not control. Respect. "You will be reassigned," Vex said. Ian tilted his head. "To what?" Vex's answer was quiet. "To a unit that does not yet exist." Ian smiled slightly. "Sounds fun." I stared at him. At the human who broke our machine. Solved our test. Rewrote our expectations. And I realized something that made my entire system feel unstable. We had invited humans here, thinking they were average, manageable, predictable. We were wrong. Very, very wrong. Because if this was just one human, then what exactly were the rest capable of? And more importantly, why did it feel like they had been holding back? Today a machine broke, tomorrow maybe the entire galaxy changes. Are humans really the strongest? Comment below, and make sure to subscribe.